Hello, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Tatiana Iñiguez. I am professor at the University of Zaragoza. The University of Zaragoza is one of the partners of the project Hiatus from the European call Erasmus+. I'm here to present, of course, myself, but also to present the methodology that we are going to follow in this project. This methodology is based on the research that the STEP Institute and the University of Zaragoza have carried out in the last year to see which methodological path we are going to follow in this project. I hope you enjoy it. Well, this is a presentation for the methodology that will be the base of the online platform that we have designed for the project. First, I'm going to focus on the literature review that we have done on service design thinking to check which models and which concepts are the base of the model proposal that we have designed for this project. That will be the second part of my presentation. Starting from the literature review, we can define design thinking as a design methodology focused on finding a solution to one or several problems. So this is a methodology for problem solving specifically, but it is very user-centered way because it is addressed to complex, ill-defined or unknown problems. Also, in design thinking, we have to ensure that this solution is feasible, desirable, and viable. About the different stages of the design thinking process, we find 5 stages. In the first stage, we will empathize with the user's need. In the second phase, we will define the problem in a very specific way. Then we will ideate the possible solution or solutions for this problem. Then we prototype the version of the final solution, and finally we will have to test this design. About service design thinking, this is the practical application of design thinking to the development of service. So it will be practical and creative application of design tools and methods with the aim of developing or improving services. The difference with design thinking is the term service, because it is considered as an interaction between an organization and a user. So the service is not only a product, it's also an experience. As Oeveren says, people don't want a drill, they want a hole in the wall, or more specifically, they want to keep the memory of their grandmother alive by moving a frame on the wall. So the drill is just a material component to provide a service. So we start from traditional industrial design thinking to integrated experience of service design thinking. The features that service design thinking will have is that it will be always centered in user needs. So it will have a content that will be users' personalized content. It will be more focused on the interaction between user and object than the object itself. And it will be also focused in the knowledge that this interaction generates. In this process, it will be also very relevant the information technology. We have also into account some elements for ensuring a positive service design thinking process. First, we will need a network to promote the interactions. Also, the final service or the final product will be social and cultural sustainable. The importance of the process will be the user's experience, and also we will have as a base the scientific and systematic design methods. So, the conclusion about the definition of design thinking and service design thinking is that service design thinking is a conscious design of services. So, we will use the same methods, tools, and activities of design thinking, but to help make service more useful, usable, efficient, and desirable. Finally, the creation of a meaningful service and product that enhances users' life and addresses their needs. About the model for applying in a practical way this service design thinking, we will use the double diamond model. This double diamond model is composed by the 5 stages that we have seen before, but as you can see, each phase is a divergence or convergence phase. I mean, we have the problem, then we will have to open this phase to empathize with the problem, to understand it better. It will be a divergence phase. Then we have to close the phase to define the problem, so it will be a convergence phase. Then again we will have to open the process to ideate very different solutions, and finally we will have to close again the process to prototype and test the final solution. In this process, the iteration is key. Also, in our project we have collected some benefits of service design thinking. As we can see, this 21st century thinking skill is a practical application of creative thinking in problem solving. Also, it will develop students' empathy and motivation. They will find a collaborative search for a solution, and the quality of learning acquisition improves. But also there are some critics for this model of service design thinking, specifically the oversimplification that some authors have taken when we tried practical exercises or activities to use service design thinking. So our conclusion is that guidance and a continuous and periodic systematic review should be implemented throughout the process of design thinking, because it is a complex process. Also, to implement this service design thinking in education, we have found different models. For example, in this model by Huan Lam and Tan Tu, we can see that it is developed using these 5 stages of design thinking, and they use the flipped learning environment, so the traditional class plus the online learning. In the first phase, the instructor tries to guide the students, but then in the other phases, the students work in groups. So, for example, in the first phase, the instructor explains the process and all of them try to solve different questions, like what is the problem, where and when it is happening, and so on. In the second phase, they use a fishbone diagram to try to see which are the main problems. In the third phase, in the idea, taking into account this fishbone diagram, they start to make a brainstorming to check which ideas they can find to solve the problem. And finally, they evaluate these ideas and take the most relevant or the most interesting ones. Then they have to design collaborative activities both inside and outside the classroom, and they try to find a proposed solution designing a prototype. Then they refine the approach by observing, asking questions, and so on. And finally, they present the final prototype to the class through a video. But also we find some criticalities in this model, specifically that social research techniques are not taken into account in the first phase of Empathize, and we propose to rename this phase as Empathize 1.0. Finally, in the phases 4 and 5, we think that we need to go back again to social research techniques to test if our prototype is sustainable and if it is solving the problems of the users. So we can call this phase Empathize 2.0. Also, we think that a conscious evaluation of each phase is needed And also we think that an online platform is very needed to ensure the participation of each group member and also the coordinator, the instructor. So all these considerations will be taken into account in our final proposal. So this will be our final model proposal. This is the previous model, and this is the model that we propose. As you can see, we have added some features, some processes that we explain here. First, a conscious evaluation of the whole process is proposed, but specifically in the last three phases: ideate, prototype, and test, so that not only solutions to the problem are proposed, but also the implications, both social, environmental, economic, and so on, of the proposed solution are evaluated. Also, the iteration process must be visible in a model to understand that service design thinking process is an iteration process, specifically because this is a learning path, and in a learning path you can't go linear. You have to go back, revise, modify, and then go forward, and so on. Finally, we added a sixth and final phase called Empathize 2.0. We will use the research techniques of the Empathize 1.0 phase, but apply to the moment when the solution to the problem can be implemented. So we will be able to analyze the social impact of the proposed solution or the prototype. We think that the voice of the potential users of the prototype is very important from the beginning till the end of the process. About adapting this model to service design thinking, teaching, learning in a classroom, this was, as you remember, the previous model, and we propose this new one. So it's a double direction model. These are the main changes. We advocate that this model should be conducted entirely online because it's more flexible, firstly. Then, as the training can be entirely online, although of course it can be combined with classroom sessions, the role of the trainer as a coordinator is fundamental. So, as you can see, the coordinator is in the center, is in the core of the whole process. Then a conscious evaluation or re-evaluation of the whole process is proposed, but specifically in the last three phases. We have to take into account all the implications of the proposed solutions that we have proposed in this model, so they will be evaluated. For example, we can have an advisory council, or maybe we can use a SWOT analysis at the end of the project. We mean at the end of the testing phase. Also, this is an iterative process. As you can see, it's not only in one way, but also in the other to revise the whole phases. And finally, a sixth and final phase called Empathize 2.0 is added. So we will analyze the social impact of our prototype, as I said before. So, of course, for our final model, we will try to ensure in this evaluation that our prototype is feasible, desirable, and viable. And, of course, it will be cooperative to promote this network, as I said. It will be sustainable because all the social impact will be evaluated in the phase that is called Empathize 2.0. The user's experience will be important not only at the beginning but also at the end of the process, and it is a model that has been based in scientific and systematic design methods in this literature review. So, thank you very much for your attention.